Welcome to the Whaka 100 podcast, brought to you by Team CP. The Whaka 100, the largest and toughest one-day mountain bike marathon you'll ever do.
Turn on the weather for us. I'm just looking for some legs. Can you show me some legs? Everyone's running good, looking good too.
Now, let's send it over to Team CP.
Turn it up. Let's see how we can go. Turn it up. No stopping till we lose all control. Turn it up until we feel it down in our soul. Turn it up. Let's just see how high we can go.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another Whaka 100 podcast, of course, brought to you by Team CP, your endurance coaching specialist. Myself, Angus Petrie, alongside me, as always, is our team captain, Richard Greer. Welcome, Richard Greer, back for another Whaka 100.
Yeah, good to be back, Angus. I'm excited about this race. It's one of the best races around, and just good fun riding your mountain bike, and all the tracks in the forest in Rotorua fired up, and pretty keen to have a bit of a yarn about it and have a chat to Tim Farmer to see how things are getting on for this year.
Yeah, look, as we know, the Whaka 100, of course, one of, or if not the Southern Hemisphere's biggest and toughest mountain bike races on the calendar. Every year that Labour weekend rolls around, a few thousand people dawn on Rotorua. Rotorua love it too. You know, it's always a good vibe inside of Rotorua when all of those keen mountain bikers, all those like-minded, same people arrive on the doorstep there. And what can we say about the forest, the 100 kilometres of single trail, or 160 if you really want to extend it out a bit there, mate. But you've been there. Well, I've been there. We've had some bloody good times in that forest, eh?
Oh, it's so good, eh? It's and we've come back and done lots of different versions of the event as well. We've done the miler, we've done the 100k event together as a team. We've teamed up last year for the 25 with Bella as well, which is heaps of fun, and had a crack at the 50 last year as well. They're all slightly different, got different things to offer, and made for different levels, which I really, really enjoy. And obviously got your 10k and the 5k kids race amongst that as well, which is pretty cool. And the Eliminator on the Friday night. It's all happening.
It is, and we'll cover off some of all of these races shortly. Like you said, Tim Farmer, Race Director, is joining us tonight. But let's just quickly talk about also what is the Whaka 100 race village. Now, if anybody knows how to put on a race, it is enduro events. They know how to put on that atmosphere, the start, the finish, the whole vibe is just true to what we love, right, about mountain biking.
Absolutely. That tent village at the end, and you're having a beer at the finish line, like we sort of stationed ourselves last year, basically straight down the middle of the finish line shoot, pretty much. You can overlook it, which is pretty amazing. And you've got the bermed corner to come into if you want to take that as well, depending on how keen you are. They do a great job of that. And then they've also got all the community club type tents over the side there as well, all the stalls and things on offer. So yeah, well done for Tim and the team for putting that on.
And it's another year. We're going to, over the next wee while, there'll be more than one of these podcasts, and we'll drag up some old memories. But Rich, just talk me through that again.
Oh, you managed to find that one. How did you get that one? Yeah, it was a hot day.
Yeah, that could be from 1986, and it's still current to this day, and it's still funny as it was whenever that was taken.
Thanks for that, Angus. No, it was a really hot day, and it's amazing how deep that little creek can get. I didn't even sort of realise it was there when you had a look at it previous. So, yeah, no, I really appreciate that. And Tim and the team were obviously digging it out. Well, I don't think it was actually Tim. I think it was all the riders that were in front of me. If I'd been a bit more up the front, I probably could have done all right. But the other thing I think I've learned is just take the jump. Just take the jump. At least you go down in a blaze of glory.
Look, send it like it is quite rewarding after the whole day in the saddle. You probably don't even think about that water crossing until those last few kilometres, and then you've been thinking about, especially if you've been doing the 100 or whatever you've been doing, you've had all the stuff in front of you, you've had all this battle of survival, fatigue, nutrition, technical riding, and your mind's been full of stuff, and then all of a sudden reality kicks in. Shit, that water crossing's coming, right? And then, mate, when you nail that water crossing, it's like, that's it, isn't it? Like, that's like, I've completed this. This job is done.
Absolutely. And that was like, I rode the 100 miler and get through all that. I was completely ruined by the end of it. But the last couple of cases, like, it was all about that. So come on, I just need this to happen. I just need to take this jump. I need to clear this, and happy days as you cross it. Because obviously, as you've just seen, I've got a bit of history with that particular part of the course. So needed to make sure that I actually got it right. Yeah, so pretty brutal, but fantastic in the other side of it as well.
Well, mate, that's probably enough chat from us, right? Like,
Yep.
nobody wants to hear us drag up all of our old stories from all of our battles that we've had there. But let's bring race director Tim Farmer along here so we can hear what's current, what's going on, and how the year's shaping up. Really, hey, Tim, how you going,
Good man, Angus.
mate? It's great to be back, eh?
Yeah, it's another year. It's our 11th year running the Whaka 100 this year. So it's been a blur. Maybe it's been 10 because we can't count one of them. So, so yeah, 10
You
years.
got your feet up in the riders' lounge already, there, I see.
Yeah, I have actually. It's a couch I'm sitting on. It's quite.
Does that mean
comfy.
you're going to ride? Is that like, because that's the riders' lounge, Tim? I'm not sure if you read that, but it says riders' lounge there, mate. So I assume that means you're riding.
Yeah, I was just discussing with somebody. I was just literally entering you into the mile, and we don't call it a mile, Angus, because it's actually 105 miles. So
5 miles.
we don't call it a 100 miler. We just call
When
it
you get to 100, what's
so,
another 5?
I'm just going to jump in there.
172 Ks, easy as.
It feels like I need to jump in because it's getting out of hand from both of you. I think let's just try and steady the ship here, and maybe just like give us when May in the start of April 1, there was an April Fool's joke that went out, and you hit the nail on the head. I think you did very, very well. Do you want to talk us through what that was and what happened there, Tim?
Can't remember, to be fair. It was April Fool's Day, wasn't it? I don't know what you're talking about. No, so typically and traditionally, April Fool's is our day to announce the course, the new course, if it's changed, anything like that. And the official course got released at 12 o'clock that day. So anything before that may have been just a bit of fun.
Talk us through talk us through it, Tim. Come on, because it was a great joke, and we always look across across the world really to see who comes up, but we always look across the cycling industry. There's always those famous GCN people or the cycling news or the whoever it might be around the world are always coming up with some random cycling bloody thing, and you guys did a really good job at it.
Yeah, to be fair, so what we actually released was a 25K lap race. Those who rode in 2015 may have remembered the Diabolical was the last time it was wet. It was 2015, and we almost went to a lap race that year to just ride on forestry roads. The weather was so bad. We released a 25K lap race. Everybody's doing 1 lap, 2 laps, 3 laps, 7 laps of the mile or something silly like that. So we have people threatening to withdraw. There'll probably be a whole lot of comments coming up about it too. Yeah, I think most people, because it fell on Easter, everybody forgot about April Fool's Day. Easter was more important. Eating chocolate and sitting on the couch. So it's sort of the perfect storm, that one. So lots of interest from right around the world actually. And that particular one, we had 8,000 to 10,000 people visit the website that day. So just double checking to see if what was actually correct and what wasn't. So
did anybody think it was a good idea?
Yeah, I think you guys need to talk to the Over the Bars podcast guys, because they literally thought shit was real. They were starting to freak out that was a lap race, and they're all downhill boys. They don't do laps. So we had those guys going as well. So bit of fun.
I haven't seen KB for a while, but I'll make sure I hunt them out.
Yeah, I think ultimately everybody forgot it was April Fool's Day, apart from the few that were quite quick into it. So, and it didn't help with the Rotorua Trails Trust announcing that some of the trails are going to be concrete going forward, and they've done a really good job with AI of actually doing some content around it using AI. So, there's a few that went down, but our one got shared in quite a few places. So,
good work.
You've done very well. That's good. I mean, if it was a lap race, Angus would be right into it, but unfortunately, it's not a lap race. So, tell us about the courses, Tim. That's what we're here for today, to try and do some planning for 2024. where are we at with the courses? How do you go about designing these courses? Tyler, the feed zone, etc. Tell us about some of these things.
I think backing up the truck a little bit, that not many people know that this forest is actually private land. It's access is granted by the CNI iwi, so there's a good collective of iwis that own that land, and it's managed by the Timberlands forestry guys, and council also manage the event aspect of it. So there's a lot of things to go through. But being if you've ridden here recently, you'll know that the trees are quite tall. They are due to be cut down soon, and so we're having to manage the production stuff. We have regular meetings with them, but then we get storms, things change. So there's all sorts of, how would you say, we need to be quite flexible and fluid with how we design the courses. We have quite a few meetings with forestry managers and planning out where we're going to go and when they're going to start harvesting. And I believe frontal lobotomy, much to everybody's joy, will be milled and harvested days after the Whaka 100. I think they start 48 hours after the Whaka 100's been through there, and that trail is likely to be rebuilt a bit nicer coming into the next summer for the next Whaka 100. So there's all sorts of things going on. It affects all the other events that happen here, like the national downhill stuff, Crankworks. They all have to manage their aspects of it. So when we always put a course out, it always says subject to change. New trails come online too, which is really exciting. There's a couple of new trails in this year's edition. New if you haven't ridden here since the last event. If you're a local and stuff, you've probably ridden them to death by now. So it's good. I think production forests give trail is a good trail evolution, and you've always got something new coming up. You do lose some of the classics, and 6 to 8 years after they've been harvested, those classics start to take a character of their own again, like split ends. For anybody that rode here 10, 15 years ago, was an amazing trail. It's starting to come back now. It's starting to get its character back, albeit different. The trail's still awesome. So, the other things we have to plan out when we start considering the courses, depending on what it is the length, the technicality of it, depending on whether there's kids or whatnot we put into it. Access for medics, access for timing points, how fast we can get a response into there when stuff does go wrong for a rider. There's so many variations we've had to move. We've traditionally had a water station at 96 k's to go. That was at the end of Yellow Brick Road, Old Chevy area. Yes. That has become so popular. We've had to move that. It's gone further up Sandy Skid Road towards as you're heading towards the Pondy elevator climb. So that's had to be moved just because of the amount of congestion. I think it was costing us like $5,000 or $6,000 to put that aid station in there, that water station. Because we've got to fence it all off, control it's become a spectator point, control all of that. So there are those logistics where we have to move stuff. Hence, the main bag drop for the 100k and the miler has now moved out to the Tarawera Road side of the forest at Te Puke Autawa, the new car park there. It's also the start line for the 25k.
It's a great location for it too there. Great location.
Yeah, so a little bit shorter. It's 6 k's earlier than it has previously been, which is not ideal for everybody, but it's been announced so early that you can adapt to it. It's not like we're putting it out the week before the event. What that allows us to do is we're actually creating a big hub out there for the Whaka 100 as well, because obviously the 25k starts there, the 50 is going to go through there, the 100 is going to go through there, the miler goes through there twice. So there'll be a bit more atmosphere, a bit more sound out there. Easy for your supporters and spectators to come up to that aid station as well. So there's a little bit more to it. Or adds complexities to it. Nothing we do is easy in this event. So we're not just moving things because it's making it easier. It has another element of something in it for us. It's quite a big operation of 58 paid staff. 150 to 200 volunteer shifts. It's pretty chunky. So,
yeah, that's awesome. In terms of trails and things, you work with the Trails Trust to ensure the sustainability and rebuilds. No Brains rebuild. Tell us a little bit more about how that you work with them and how that all works. Yeah,
putting No Brains aside, we've ever since Belinda and I started on the journey with enduro events, we started adopting trails. So the very first trail you ride into the Whaka 100 Tahi. It's quite a long trail. It's a couple of k's. Belinda, the whole team, the enduro events team, are the adoptees of that. So we go out there, clear the drains, clear the foliage, The Trails Trust sometimes bring in equipment to resurface it because it is a family loop. So we look after that one. We look after Time Walk on the way up to the top of Split Ends. It's a trail we look after as well. And I should know the other one. We're looking after Dipper as well, which is the big twisty turny fun family loop in the middle, which is going to get a resurface shortly. What we do with the Trails Trust is we put our own donations in, we put our own company time into it in terms of giving back to those trails. We go out there after the cyclone. Was it last year, Cyclone Gabrielle? We shut the office for a day and we went out onto the walking tracks with big backpack leaf blowers and we cleared the whole entire redwoods for the Trails Trust while they're out cutting trees and stuff like that. The other thing the events do is there's a funding mechanism. When you enter, you have the option to donate to the Trails Trust or First Response. The First Response is the one and only pretty much permanent medical response team in the forest. And obviously that has a large sum of money that needs to make that operate. So between the Trails Trust and First Response, I think we are for a Whaka 100 alone, there's like 15 to 20 grand going back into those two charities. So across the year with all our events, it's up to about 40K a year, plus all the time we put in. And the no-brains, like if we can work with sponsors as well, like we did with Isuzu last year, just to help facilitate those rebuilds of trails. Every little bit goes a long way. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
Let's talk about some more events again, Tim. Let's give the people what they want to hear. UCI was a huge thing last year. We had UCI Eliminator. We crowned a national champion for our Eliminator, and again, finally, we got the Marathon World UCI Marathon champs and crowned a national champ there too. Can I assume that we're doing the same thing again? It's back. We're going to put jerseys on people again.
Yeah, I believe it's back. We're still waiting for Cycling New Zealand to have their debrief with us from last year, but all going well. It's back. Everything's planned and ready to go. So Cycling New Zealand's hands at the moment. But yeah, on paper, it's all going ahead. So we are just waiting for those final things. And what that particular part we're waiting for is to whether we can add age group to the marathon. Obviously, there's some licensing things we need to work through and stuff like that. So our ultimate goal would not just to have the national champs, but have an age group offering as well.
Mm. And what are the chances of that happening? Because I reckon that's a fabulous idea to get that age group involvement as well.
Yeah, it's highly probable.
Nice. There might be an age group there.
We'll give it a thumbs up. We'll call that a yes. We'll drive a public uproar about it, eh?
Oh, I don't think we need to have an uproar. I've had a busy summer, so we'll just wait for those guys to come around. But everything's planned at our end, ready to go.
Awesome.
Nice. Good job. The Whaka is New Zealand's largest cycling event, 3,000 entrants in last year's event, and the largest in the Southern Hemisphere. What's new and updated for this October? So I'm especially keen to hear about a bit of a camping option as well.
Yeah, cool. So nothing's really new. Like we don't need to change anything dramatically to make the event better. We're just starting to tweak little things. So for us, now you can have self-contained camping legally at Waipa through the Rotorua site. It's called the Waipa Camp. It's been soft launch at the moment, so you'll see a bit more about that coming up. And that'll give you access to the showers and all that sort of thing as well. That's the Kiwi Camp showers.
Cool.
So we normally get about 20 to 30 camper vans pull up there. We'll probably have a few more this year. Obviously, just got to be certified self-contained. With the event itself, there probably will be a night race on the Thursday night for people that are turning up on the 10K course. So if you like Angus and I and like racing in the dark, there's going to be a 10K hit out in that. And on the Saturday night, the Single Speed Society here in Rotorua are going to do I don't know what we call it, but it's a relay as a 2 or 3 person team. You'll do the mountain bike 5K loop, which is the kids course plus the creek crossing. And then you're going to tag up, you're going to ride over to the BMX track, which is right next door, which they host the World Cups on. You got to jump on a BMX bike and you got to do a lap of the track. And then you got to chug your beer in single speed fashion. So, and you got to do that a few times. So that'll happen. That'll kick off at about.
This is sounding like my event.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is obviously we finished quite early on the Saturday. So I think last rider comes off the trails at about 2:15. So about 4:30 we'll be kicking off into this event. It's heaps of fun. It's designed to be fun. I can't imagine the elite guys like Sammy Maxwell or anybody wanting to do it when they got the 100K the next day or the milers. But for everybody else, it's just a bit of fun. Great for spectators to come along and get into it as well.
So just quickly, the night race, you talk about the night. Oh, actually, I think that's a great idea. Is that going to be capped to numbers, or is it just a 10K all-in bulk start?
Yeah, it's 10K all in. If there's a substantial amount of riders, we might break it down to some sort of age groups and stuff like that. But it's just all about having a bit of fun and getting out there and sort of a bit of a rollout and blow the cobwebs off the wheels and stuff. If you've had it packed away for the year, Angus.
It actually got used the other weekend. You're not going to believe this, but Jesus, just only a few weekends ago it got used, and that actually may have been the first time since Whaka, actually, now that I think of that. Or maybe I wrote it at Christmas, but you're pretty close to being on the mark.
Nice. Okay,
Yeah,
so let's
moving it in the garage is not using it.
spinning the wheels. Okay, so Angus is into the event, or let's say someone you have that you're listening to this. What, from your perspective, Tim, should people be thinking about? Where are we at? So we're start of May.
Yeah, I think the main thing is just keep regular on your training. Do something. If you run out of time or it's too cold, I feel like I'm listening to the coaching that I've had, but just keep moving. That 15 minutes a day, just keep moving. It's going to be tough probably for the next few months as it gets a bit colder. It's got cold early in New Zealand. If you're coming from overseas, awesome. You guys are in summer, most of you. There's quite a few overseas riders this year. So I think, just start working on, fine-tuning your nutrition, understanding what nutrition you have. Even if you're in the 25K and you're doing it for the first time, you got to think about your water and your electrolytes and stuff. You can't just ride the race on water. It's not the most fundamentally successful idea, just drinking water. So it happens quite a lot, though.
Yes. Travel was key as well, because Rotorua gets booked up too, doesn't it? So that's something that people should be getting organised.
Yeah, I think we've got there's more and more hotel rooms coming back online after COVID and lockdown and stuff. So I think the capacity's starting to sneak up again. So I haven't seen the accommodation numbers recently, but yeah, it's always a good one to start booking early. Because it's a big weekend here.
Nice. Hey, just back to that training, but we've got a bit of a deal with you guys in regards to our Zwift sessions. I run 3 group Zwift sessions a week, Monday morning at 6 a.m., 6 p.m. on a Wednesday, and then 7:20 on a Friday. We've got a bit of a promo through the course of May. If anyone wants to get in amongst that and test that out and have a group ride, which we have an audio app to sort of G you along a little bit and not get too competitive like Tim. I think you've turned up 2 or 3 times and maybe almost reached for the bucket midway through.
I think I'll win the first sprint and then tap out.
Yeah. So don't be like Tim. It doesn't have to be like that. But I mean, if you want a bit of motivation, come along. That's a great tool. And feel free to jump into our group sessions. And there's some more information on the website, isn't there?
Totally, yeah, it should be up there. I think it's getting emailed out possibly this week as well. So we'll have some links to it.
Also, just as an option when we talk about travel and things, I believe, again, all but confirmed, the bike box option is going to be available again from Christchurch to Rotorua. It may get extended around. We'll see how that goes, but definitely there'll be an option from Christchurch to Rotorua. It was a very successful option last year that we moved about, I want to say like 40 or 50 bikes or something, was it? And because what we do know is that Air New Zealand, doesn't matter who you are, you won't be guaranteed your bike. I did first-hand chat to Joe Nation for a while he was at the airport waiting. I think he was on about his 3rd hour and 3rd flight that had been in and still no sign of his bike. So he was having a pre-ride chill-out day while he waited for his bike to turn up. So that option's going to be available again.
Probably to put that in the context. That's for people flying up from Christchurch. We have quite a big group of riders. The rest of the country is normally okay, or if you're flying in from overseas, you don't need to worry about it. If you're coming from Christchurch to Rotorua, there's normally like 200 and 250 riders out of Christchurch, Canterbury region. That's a lot of bikes to move in that can only take 7 a flight. It's like 35 a week. So we work with Boost Transport, bringing those bikes up. And if we're lucky, we may be announcing sometime in the near future that there may be a bike shop drop-off point as well that will work with us. So we're working on a couple of things down there as well. So,
yeah, good stuff. All just making it easier for the thousands of people who are descending upon Rotorua in October. So talk us through supporters. What other stuff is for them to do if they're not going to be riding in Rotorua?
Yeah, cool. So we've got a massive expo this year. Got different bike companies turning up. There's going to be lots of things happening within the expo, so you can get along, hang out there. There'll be a little bit of window shopping, testing up the new bikes. There'll be some stuff potentially from Shimano happening there as well, but you'll be able to do that. If not, the forest is only a stone's throw away from town. So if you're riding and you're bringing up family, you can just ride to the race and literally do a 5-10 minute warm up and you're there, and it's pretty flat to get there unless you're on the Linmore side. But yeah, there's plenty to do. There's the tree walk and there's canopy tours. There's heaps of offerings. There's something for everybody really. Or you can just go for a walk on the walking tracks. We have lots and lots of mountain bike trails, but we also have a load of walking tracks around different places. There'll also be a spectator guide that will drop out closer to the event with key spectator points and how to get there and Google links and stuff like that as well.
And what about volunteering? Because that's a great way to get amongst the event as well. Tell us some more about that, because it's a big part of the Whaka, isn't it?
Yeah, well, our volunteers are awesome. So yeah, we partner with Holland Beckett Law, and they basically look after all these volunteers. They get like their own marquee set up. It's like a lounge in there, and they got their own snacks and goodies. You can actually win a trip to the Emerson's Brewery from volunteering. They pay for your flights and your accommodation. You do beer tasting with Richard Emerson himself, and I think you get quite a substantial amount of spending money in the tap house as well. So that's pretty cool volunteer prize, as well as we have all sorts of incentives and bits and pieces. So you can volunteer in the week leading up to the event. You can volunteer on the day. You can volunteer in the evenings. There's like just all sorts of things happen there. Aid stations, drop bags, out on course, everything. Social media team. There is such a thing now. You can volunteer to help with social media. So easy.
Will our dear old lovely grannies be back?
The lovely so those lovely ladies, they're amazing, aren't they? We have, for those who haven't ridden the event before, we have these 3 local ladies. Jude, Teresa, oh no, I forgot one. Sorry, ladies, missing one. It'll come to me halfway through the show. Every year, they will not tell us what they're dressing up as, but they just turn up there, and they've dressed up as something from Gloria Vale girls to, I think they've been cheerleaders and all sorts of things. Last year, they were dressed up as grannies, and some riders, like our April Fool's joke, got persuaded by the appearance that they were actually old ladies with megaphones. So there'll be something happening up in that spot. If you haven't been there since last year, it is now massive. They've cleared a skid side at the top of that hill, so we can have a bit more fun up there. It's definitely a very different area if you haven't ridden there in the last few months.
Yeah, so good. Just as we wrap up, Tim, anything else to share? Anything else that's top of mind as you continue to prepare for a fantastic event this year?
Yeah, I think we're actually 85, 89, somewhere in there % sold out. So we're not sold out yet, but we are starting to fill up. If you got a particular start wave you want to be in, either the 100 or the 50K, you might want to look at getting an entry in and just getting a spot that you want to start in. Otherwise, you'll just get what's next best. And I suppose the big thing is just focus on your training and enjoy the ride.
It's too good. What should we spend a couple of weekends in Rotorua leading up to it though? I reckon we just about should, Rich.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's one key thing, isn't it? Like we've done a great job in the past of having a bit of a training camp, having a weekend, 2 or 3 days of just riding your bike. And that's a great way just to do a little bit more than what you normally used to doing. So again, we're May. It's a great thing to actually just put down on the family calendar and circle. Maybe it's a September spot, maybe a July, maybe an August, something like that. Couple of key riding days, and ideally one in Rotorua. But if it's not one in Rotorua, get somewhere that's fun and go and ride a bunch of single track and get out with some mates and do a little bit more than what you used to, and that'll really make a difference to your performance.
Yeah, no, we've got the Highlander next weekend as well, which is a little Whaka 100 teaser. It's not as hard, 42, 22 and 11 kilometre options. So that's next weekend here in Rotorua as well. So good. That'll actually, the whole purpose of that event next year, there'll actually be a training camp built into it where we may be seeing you guys at the event in Rotorua. We spend a couple of days helping people prepare for the Whaka 100, and then they can go test that on the Highlander race and test their racecraft out and the things I've learned about, body setup and how to attack trails and not pull away from the features and stuff like that. So watch that space. That'll get announced after this Whaka 100 about those training camps that will become part of the Highlander weekend.
Awesome. Great stuff. So we've got 6 podcasts that we're going to do. We've got number 1 done. We've got 1 that's going to be a review podcast, but we're going to help educate, share stories, etc., of others that are training for this Whaka 100, a fantastic event in Rotorua. So keep an eye out for the next podcast. We'll be coming in about the next 3 or 4 weeks, I think, Angus. Is that right?
I think that's about where it works out there. So you've got heaps of time to work out where you're at now, and then maybe when we go live on the next one, you might have some questions that maybe we can help you answer like that. Now's a really good time to go, okay, I've signed myself up, or maybe you haven't, but maybe it's starting to really be, this is my goal, I'm going to be in there, I'm going to try and do a little bit over the next few weeks, and then I'm going to work out, how does that work, or how do I do that? So all questions will be welcome when we're live on here at our next podcast. Just actually something, we'll talk about it much more later on, but if you are out there training, train. What I always like to do for this event, because it is one of the most fatiguing events I've ever done, probably, is I like to try and get myself fatigued and then go and find, and I normally try and use it somewhere local so I actually do know the trail, but try and ride some technical trails a little bit fatigued, because that essentially is what happens later on at the Whaka 100. And that's when it starts to get tricky, when you're fatigued and you're bouncing all over the place and things. So that's where I always like to focus, is try and get myself into that box and, work from there.
Yeah, that's
Happy birthday yesterday for Tim Farmer. What is that about?
Trying to get around that.
55, 60, something like that. I saw that pop
Holy
up.
heck. Are you in a new age group?
No, not yet, mate. I'm waiting till
we're in the same.
I'm going to return to racing when I get to the end of this 40s category.
Right.
So, but no, I just saw Jason Kennedy from Jace Likes Bikes is following along today. He's off to Leadville in August. So I reckon we should just complimentary him a miler entry. He should be prime. Then he can tell us what's actually harder, like, real feedback. He might not want to do. He might, yeah. Well, it's funny because the people that have ridden Leadville and have ridden the Whaka miler have a very different opinion about Leadville now.
What I want to see is the belt buckle, Jason. That's what I want to see, is the belt buckle, mate. I will be in awe and jealous as if you come back from Leadville with a belt buckle. That is just one of the coolest things.
Yeah, like my BC bike race one, Angus.
yeah, but Leadville was the pioneer of that, mate. Leadville, like the belt buckle for Leadville is where it all started, mate.
Good stuff. Okay, I think we need to wrap it up, lads. Well done. Good podcast underway, and looking forward to sharing a bunch of stories with you in the next few podcasts as we go. So enjoy your training. Get in touch if you've got any questions, and keep up the good work, and all the best for your organisation and getting things lined up for 2024, Tim.
Thank you. Awesome work, guys.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Rich. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Like we said, we'll be back in a few weeks' time for another one. So think about what you want to ask, and we'll see you then.
Good job.
You've been listening to the Whaka 100 podcast, brought to you by Team CP.
Skull. So much fun, lots of camaraderie and lots of laughs.
If you dig the show, make sure to like, rate, and review.
Let's see how